ready to go. So how many got started this week? How many got started this week? How many had problems getting started this week? Okay, all right. Now, some of you had problems getting onto the website, and so that's why we gave you that sheet that had this long thing to go directly to the website. So I'm gonna show you how to do that tonight, okay? But what we can do is, if you got your email address, I'll send it to you, because if you have it in your email address, the only thing you have to do is click on it, okay? So if you just click on it, yes. If you just click on it, it should take you right to the site where you go to sign in. 60 days is all it takes. Okay, once you get to that site, they want you to sign in or register. You got to register if you haven't done that. And so it will take you directly there, okay? And that's what you'll see. 60 days to reclaim, because a lot of you have been seeing the 60 juice and all of that kind of thing. But this is the site that you need to go to, okay? And then once you're there, you sign in, and it'll take you through what you need to do. And it'll have videos there for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so forth. Now, day 1, they started you out, and I know a lot of you went and saw the Barley Max and thought that you had to have the Barley Max. Now, you can do barley grass. You can do barley light. That's just a suggestion. You can also do a kale smoothie. They want you to get started out with something, I want you to get started with something green, okay? Now, the thing about it is, when you use the Barley Max, or the Adventist bookstore also has Barley Light, or you can get barley grass, the first thing you're going to notice is that once you start doing this barley, you're going to start having bowel movements. Okay? Now, let me tell you, there's a misnomer that some of you think that you should only have one bowel movement a day or every other day. You should have a bowel movement every time you eat. If you eat 3 meals a day, you should have a bowel movement 3 meals a day. Okay? So what this barley will start doing is starting to regulate you. Okay? So it's important that we get our bowels on the right movement. There's a reflex in the body that when you eat, called a gastrocolic reflex. What is it? Gastrocolic reflex. So when you eat, it tells your colon that it also should let the other stuff go. Most of the time, we resist that, and so the body just packs it away. Okay? If you get on a regular bowel movement, when you eat, you get an urge to go. Most of us suppress that urge. So it's important, because, you might be in the middle of something you don't need to go right now. So it's important but you still need to go. Now, if I had that Bugatti and I plugged something in the exhaust pipe, what would happen to it? It wouldn't run efficiently, would it? So what do you think we do when we run around here with a load on us and we only go into the bathroom only once a week? Some people only go once a week. Or every other day, or you just carrying around toxins. Okay, that's why it's important. So that's why they, when you're starting to do the Barley Max, also the barley is composed of young barley grass, which is supposed to be nutrient dense as far as energy for the cells. So I'm not suggesting, again, I tell you, they're going to try to sell you something. I just like the overall diet, because what they're going to try to do is get you to where you're doing a plant diet, okay? And so you don't have to buy all of this stuff. Okay, I bought the Barley Light because I wasn't going to order all that stuff from them. So I went to the ABC, the Nourish Adventist bookstore, and I got the Barley Light. Okay, but you don't have to buy all the stuff that they want you to buy. They're talking about the fiber and all of that. When you start eating plant food and kale, you won't get enough fiber. Believe me, it's going to make a big difference. Okay, so once you go to that, then you go to this website, and then they'll take you through everything that you need to do to get ready to go. Okay? Okay. Last week, we started a new me, right? When you get up in the morning, first thing in the morning, it's a new day. God created us the way we can start fresh every day. So every day should be what? A new start. No matter what you did yesterday, you wake up the next morning, it's a new start. So now we're going to talk about a new start with how to be well. New start, basically we use the letters new start, which means nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in divine providence. That's what it is. So every day we're going to start with a new start. Think about it. If I cheated yesterday, I can start today a new start. I won't tell you, but someone did come to me and ask me, did I have my last bowl of ice cream on Saturday? And I did. And I had some donuts, and I said, because I was going to do it. I'm going to do it because I'm getting ready to go on this 60 days. I'll tell you, I'm telling y'all, you're my guinea pigs. I'm doing this for me. I'm being honest with you. I need to live better. So I got to get rid of some of this junk. So I said, okay, I'm just going to go out here and have them going on this binge. And I did. I went on that binge and I said, okay, I'm ready to get started. So Sunday morning, I started. I went and got my barley light and made my little shake. But you notice in the program, that's all they wanted you to do. Because it's going to be a gradual add-on every day. Now, we don't have to do exactly the way they want us with the Barley Max and the fiber and everything else. But we're going to start incorporating plant-based diet and everything that we do. Okay, so every day, God gives us a new start. And that's very important. So in order to have 60 days to do a new me, we're going to start each day. Okay? We valued ourselves last week, and we looked at some expensive things. That Bugatti being $3.29 million. Awesome machine. Nice car. If we could get in it, you know, they're talking about how many G-forces it pulls at 1,500 horses. And because this car costs so much, we take care of it much different than we would a Volkswagen or anything else. But to be honest with you, it's just transportation like anything else. But if you don't take care of the Volkswagen like you take care of the Bugatti, then you're not going to go anywhere with it either. So no matter what it is, you have to take care of it. But if I value myself more than I value a $3.29 million car, we already said the oil change on that $3.29 million car is $21,000. Just the oil change. You got the Hope Diamond, $250 million. They won't even let you near it. But God created us, each and every one of us, special. And we're more valuable to Him than all of that stuff. So when I start seeing myself as being special, then it makes me want to feel better, look better, act better, because I value myself more. Look, all the stuff that we've been doing, I can tell you right now, I know good and well that bowl of ice cream every night was not healthy for me. And you know what it does? It makes me feel sluggish and just, you know, sneezing, coughing, all that other stuff. But you got accustomed to doing something, and so therefore it affects the way you feel. Now, I'm going to give you some of the trades behind the medical profession tonight. Please don't go and tell your doctors, well, that doctor came and told me that you were doing. I'm giving you the secrets. So let's keep it a secret, okay? So you go in there with a smug face and you ask him questions, you already know the answers. Okay, fair enough? Yeah. Fair enough. Now, we already said last week what we were going to do. You have to talk to your healthcare provider. I'm not giving everybody a green light on this because some of you, if you looked at the ingredients, if some of you are on blood thinners and things like that, you can't go on Barley Max. You can't go on Barley Light. Why? Because it has a lot of vitamin K. And that will interfere with some of the medications that you're on. With Coumadin especially. Now, there are other ones that it doesn't interfere with. But you need to know that. So you need to take everything that I'm saying tonight, say, this doctor said, he wanted me to do this. Is this okay? All right? How many of you got a buddy? You got your buddy? Have you talked to your buddy? I didn't see too many hands. Okay, when you leave tonight, we want to make sure that all of our coaches, we're going to divide you up so all of our coaches will have at least 10 of you so we can call you from week to week to see how you're doing. Because it's very important. Behavior modification is the biggest part of this. You got to have a buddy. All right? New start. We've already gone through it. Nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, trust in divine providence. Every day, it's a new start. It's a new start. It's a new start. It's a new start. And that's how we're going to look at it. Why is nutrition so important? Why is petroleum in the car so important? The type of petroleum in the car is so important. The unfortunate thing is, too many of us live to eat versus eating to live. Many of us live to eat versus eating to live. Now you think about it. We have gotten to the point now where everything we orientate ourselves around has got to be about food. If they're going to the wedding, oh, what they serving? What kind of food they got at the wedding? The baby shower, oh, what they gonna have? What they gonna serve? Come on now, let's be honest. It's got to be about what kind of food they're having. And why do we have to have our lives dictated by food? So we have to understand we have to eat to live. And we got to look at it that way. Because it brings on a different perspective. Leviticus 11, it talks about God's way of nutrition. And so that's what we're basing it on. Plant-based. Now we can talk about after the flood, Noah and everything, but you also notice that after the flood, the longevity of man also decreased based on his diet. God has basically given us means by where we can heal ourselves through our diet. It's whether or not we want to function by that. And none of us are excused from it. Because even I have patients who are slender, who have cholesterols of 250, 300, walking time bombs. How many of you know what your cholesterol is? How many of you don't? You should know what your cholesterol is. Not only should you know what your cholesterol is, you need to know what the LDL is and the HDL and the triglycerides. Now, the cholesterol is broken down into three areas what they look at. They look at the HDL, which is the high density lipoprotein, the LDL, which is the low density lipoprotein, and the triglycerides. They can even go down further than that. A lot of you now are getting information about apoprotein and all that kind of stuff, and they're giving you all of that, confusing you, but basically if you get these numbers right, you don't have to worry about the rest of them. Now, the HDL, the high density lipoprotein, remember this, should be high. The low density lipoprotein is the bad boy. It should be low. The triglycerides should be low as well. The HDL is the good cholesterol, which they have shown that actually goes around and cleaning out the bad cholesterol. And what you want that number to be is over 50. Now, a lot of you are running around, the numbers in your lab says anything over 35. That's low. And the way you increase your HDL is really by exercise. Now, they can give you a lot of drugs and everything, but you don't need a lot of drugs if you're doing it the right way. We talked about last week about high density foods and the sugar content and how it's killing us. And you got to be aware that every time we process something, we're changing the form. Movement is so very important. And as we get older, many of us feel that we don't need to move. It is very important that we move. I don't care how old you are, you need to move. Now, last week I told you how my grandfather lived to be 107 years old and he died from falling out of bed from a subdural hematoma. He was still very active, still did his own garden and everything else. New York State called him in at 103 and told him that he needed to come in to do a driver's license in order to keep his driver's license. And he just said, there is no way in the world that I'm going to go do that test again. So he went, drove his car up into the garage and never drove it again. But he was just that active. Any of his grandchildren could call him and he knew who they were over the phone. Sharp mind. He raised his own food as far as his own garden. He was very temperate in what he did. 107. Matter of fact, he came here to church, I think, when his 103rd birthday, and he preached without glasses. So, did some of you remember that? Unbelievable. So we got to move. He lived on a mountain in Ellenville, New York. Still walked up and down the mountain. 107. We got to move. Problems with our exercise is even with our kids. Couch potatoes. We don't want to move. I'm guilty. I'm not going to lie. When I go to the store, I want to park right to the front. When I'm out on my farm, I want to get on my four-wheeler. I'm riding my tractor. But you got to move, folk. It's very important to move because not only does it help us physically, it helps us mentally. Reason why a lot of us are aging so quickly is because we don't move. Water. Water is so important. The minimum is 8 glasses a day. The minimum. How many of us get 8 glasses in a day? Very good, very good, very good, very good. It's very important that you have water. And we talked about the kidneys last week, the most important filter that you ever had. How many of you know what your BUN and creatinine is? BUN creatinine is blood work that tells how your kidneys are functioning. In the African American, it usually decreases as we get older. But if you're hydrating yourself, you're keeping your kidneys for a long period of time. Now, there's been a big discussion about types of water. First thing is, get the water. You know, people are arguing about, well, you need to be on this alkaline pH, and you need, most people aren't doing water. First, start with water. Now, there is a concern about pollution in water and all of that. No question about it. But I'd rather for your kidneys to take care of something that's been chlorinated a little bit than nothing at all.
Hi, I'm Dr. Veronica Oates, and I have a doctorate in nutrition. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and I'm just here to talk to people about their nutritional needs and how I can help them in meeting what they need to do diet-wise while they focus on that new start.
I want to, Ben, could you pass this around for me, please? You know, the biggest thing now is we're talking about with water and the toxicities and everything else. This handout that Ben is passing out to you talks about why organic is so important. And the reason why organic is so important is because it's looking at some of the dirty dozens as far as foods that we buy. And strawberries is one of the dirtiest foods that we can buy that if you don't buy it, if it's not organic, because of the amount of pesticides in it. The second most common is spinach. Then is nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, potatoes, and bell peppers. and also hot peppers. Now, the nice thing about this article, it also talks about the Clean 15 that's not organic. And the Clean 15 is avocado is number 1. Then it talks about after avocados is sweet corn, and then there's pineapple, cabbage, onions, frozen sweet peas, papaya, asparagus, mangoes, eggplant, honeydew, melon, kiwi, cantaloupe, cauliflower, and broccoli. The reason why it's important is because there's also some research to show that pesticides now getting in your food, and what it does is accumulate in your fat cells. So when your body goes to try to break down those fat cells, you can be running, you can be jogging, you can be starving yourself. You don't have any more? Okay, I'll make you some more after this. But you can be running, jogging, and everything, and what happens is the body leaches onto it and doesn't release it. So you can't lose weight because of all of the pesticides in your body. So one of the things that the article talks about as far as getting rid of some of that is, number 1, if you don't buy organic, is to wash your food at least 30 minutes. And one of the things they suggest is with plain water. At least, not 30 seconds. I said minutes, I'm sorry. 30 seconds. I'm sorry. Excuse me there, a little lapse there. 30 seconds. Wash your vegetables for at least 30 seconds with water. Now, they said the second thing that you use, there was a research study done in the article that if you take baking soda, it washed it more effectively than just the plain water. But they said it was no difference in plain water than if you use detergent. Okay, so that's why it's important that when you talk about water and contamination and pesticides, it's important to know that you're not putting in something that's going to be adversely affecting your body. Okay? Why is sunlight so good? Vitamin D. My vitamin D level was 19. Is that good or bad? I heard good or bad.
What's the normal?
There you go. There you go. Preferably 30 and above. So my 19 is what? Low. The best way to get vitamin D is in sunshine. Now, but the thing about it is, when do you get your sunshine? Now, you can't go out there in the day in between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock and expect to get adequate sun. I don't care if you are melanin increased. You still can get skin cancers being out there between the times of 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Because of what? High ultraviolet light. Your UV light is highest at that time that is associated with skin cancers. But you still need your sunshine, okay? Now, I don't know why people go to these places, but I don't think this is really for us. But there are people who do that, and you can get more than enough, but you can get cancer, skin cancer from this. Temperance is such a hard thing to do. And we're all affected by it. And the reason is because of the fact that because of sin, there's gluttony. So therefore, we have to have help with temperance. We in the United States, we have a I want it now mentality. We are a microwave mentality. We got to have it when. I ain't waiting. I want this new dress, so I'm going to take this credit card and I'm going to spend. I know I shouldn't eat that extra bite of food, but I'm going to eat it. We just have to learn how to be temperate. And again, folks, I ain't looking at none of y'all. I'm looking square in the mirror. And I've had to learn how to pull back and not eat so much. True story, when I was down in Florida, I was about 270 pounds. Now, praise God, I'm down to 230. trying to get down to 215, 210. Because I really, now, you know, not talking against any doctors in here. I ain't talking against any doctors, but they told me I'm going to need knee surgery. I'm not ready for a knife just yet. And the best way to keep me from getting cut is to lose weight. I have back problems, pushing at 270. They were ready to cut. I said, excuse me here, I'll come back to you a little bit later. Because again, folk, cutting is not healing. You taking pills for your blood pressure ain't healing your blood pressure. You taking insulin for your diabetes ain't healing your diabetes. So we have to do things that's going to help ourselves. And we can do that. We talked about the SAD diet, the standard American diet. We're killing ourselves with that. So we have to modify. All right, let's do it. Deep breath. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Now blow it out. Deep breath again. Deep breath. Blow it out. Do you know that just by taking deep breaths, you expand your lungs? Because as you get older, the capacity in your lungs actually decrease. But if you don't use them, then what happens is those parts of the lungs actually, if you don't use them enough, become areas that can get easily infected. You got to learn how to take deep breaths. The best way to do that is by exercise. But even sitting at home, if you're just sitting there watching television, sitting at the table, every now and then you can actually go through lung exercises. And then purse your lips and then slowly blow it out. What that does is expand the lungs. It gives you more oxygenation, takes more blood to the brain, makes you think clearer. We're polluting ourselves. But you need to go outside and go to a park where trees are, where greenery is. I know we don't like to sleep, or we sleep with the television on. We got to have noise. Reason why you got to have noise is because you become accustomed to having noise. But it's important that your brain is still going on while you sleep. And unfortunately, it didn't work in high school because we always talk about that osmosis where we put the book on our brain. That didn't work that way. You know, some of y'all said, if I put my book on my brain, you know, it'll just diffuse by osmosis. That's what we try to say, but it doesn't work that way. But what happens is when you got all that noise coming in, the brain is still processing. So what the brain is trying to do is trying to shut down like the rest of the body to where it's only running your body. Okay, we can breathe, we can do those kinds of things, we can function that way. But do we really have to listen to that television? Do we listen to all that mess that's going on? Really, we got to cipher all of that? Your brain needs to go to a quietness. So it really needs to be quiet. Now, some of you don't like to sleep. How many of you get at least 7 hours of sleep a night? Very good, very good. It's important, folks. It's important. How many get 6? 5? Woo. 4. This is the required hours that they're based on your age. Newborns 12 to 18, and of course, you know, Tyler's 12 to 14. Here's the problem that we're having now. Our kids, this age group right here, you know what they're doing? They're on their phone. They're on their phone. And they're only getting roughly about 5 hours of sleep a night. And And that is detrimental to their health because many times you're still going through the growth spurt in that age group. Gotta have it. There's been a recent study talking about how Google actually put in some of their phones, and you got to be careful because they're recording this. But they've actually said that they developed the phone to actually make you addicted to it. That's why a lot of you can't go without your phones. If you move somewhere, where's my phone? They made you hooked. Everywhere you go, you got to have your phone. You got to check on everything. Somebody may have called me. Somebody may have we're just addicted to it now. And there are certain times that you need to just shut it down. There are certain times when you need to concentrate. Because I'll be honest with you, when you're trying to concentrate on the phone and listen and do, what you're doing is your brain is really keeping up with it, but you're stressing yourself out. Because there was also another study was talking about how we actually we create what is known as cortisol. Cortisol reacts to a lot of stuff that we're doing. What also cortisol does is keeps us from losing weight. Because we're in a semi-stressful situation. Didn't know all that, did you? Lastly, we have to trust in divine providence. Nothing we can do without God. Because with him, I can do almost anything. I can do some things. Do y'all really believe y'all can do all things? Do you think you're going to be successful at this program? Yes. Absolutely, you can be successful at this program. He has promised that if we are determined to be successful, we can be successful. So therefore, I want to see in 60 days where all of us walk away from here with positive results, moving in the right direction. Does that mean sometimes that, hey, you can change things just a little bit? Look, I don't expect anybody here to be totally one way or the other. You choose what you want to do. This is what you want to do. If my goal is to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to lose 10 pounds with this. But then again, I also want to feel better. And I give my testimony and then I let it go to our trainers. But back in 2008, I had moved down to Florida. I had a practice. And I started getting these hot flashes. And these hot flashes was coming on me. I would have 4 per hour. They were getting so bad at night. I was sweating so bad at night, I wake up in the middle of the night, I look at my wife and I said, move over, thinking that she was having hot flashes. And she looked at me and said, no, you move over. And come to find out that I called my doctor, Earl Campbell. I was in Florida, he was up here, and I said, Earl, I'm having these symptoms. And I kind of halfway figured it out, but I didn't want to start treating myself. So I called him. I said, I'm having these symptoms. And he says, well, you need to go get a testosterone level. So okay. I went and got a testosterone level. It came back 30. Normal testosterone is 239 to 800. Mine came back 30. Earl said to me, I have never seen a 30. That's not right. Go get it tested again. So I went and got it tested again. It came back 9. Wow. So at that point, he said, okay, you need to go get an MRI of your head. So I went to get the MRI, and I'll cut this short. I went to get the MRI, and as I was in the MRI, the thing about it, I am very claustrophobic. I hate the MRIs, but I've had so many. I get them every 6 months. But the first time I've gotten this when I was sitting in the MRI machine, and I could just see enough to where you could see the tech coming through that little MRI thing, and he was jumping around. I said, okay, he's seen something. He was jumping around. He was jumping from the MRI machine. He was then on the phone. And I said, okay, he's seen something. So as soon as I came out, the radiologist, Dr. So-and-so wants to see you in his office, right? And his office was really about 5 miles away. And I said, so what did you see? He says, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I just can't tell you. And so to make a long story short, I had a tumor on my pituitary gland. The tumor was the size, now the pituitary gland is supposed to be the size of a pea. Now you had peas over there, the size of a small pea. My pituitary was the size of a golf ball. And the pituitary sits into a little bony structure, and this thing was so big that it eroded the whole pituitary. The sella turcica is what they call it. It's a bony structure inside the brain. It had eroded the whole thing. So I had to go, and at that time, Wintley was my pastor, and he knew Ben Carson. And so he called Ben Carson up at Johns Hopkins, and he said, I got a friend here, he's got a brain tumor. Who would you suggest? Because we already knew Ben did children, he didn't do adults. And so he referred me to one of the top guys at Johns Hopkins. So make a long story short, I went up there, and this surgery was only supposed to be 4 hours. I think they took like 12 hours to get this thing. And they went through the nose because that's how sophisticated it was. And the thing about it is, when the surgeon came out and told my wife, he said, the reason why it took so long was when we got into the brain, when they go through the nose, they puncture through the back, and they go through the skull, through the back of the nose. And they said when we got in there, first thing we noticed was it was blood in there. Now, if you notice anything about blood ain't supposed to be in the brain. But there was blood there, but fortunately, it had walled itself off. And because it had walled itself off, the blood had come in, and when the blood came in, the T cells from my white blood cells signaled my body that something foreign was in the body, and it had already got in there and started taking the tumor away. Come on. So, I tell you that, it did come back in 2013. But what it was the surgery was a confirmation of what God was already doing for me. As a matter of fact, when I came to him, my wife told me that, I asked the surgeon, I said, so that means I don't have to pay you? But God has great things for us, folk. That's why it's about all of us helping each other. I get geeked up about this kind of stuff. I love this kind of stuff because when we start helping each other, it makes a difference in each and every one of us. So when at the end of this, not only should we be making friends, but we should be making life partners to make sure that not only that we have a good life here, but a great life in the life hereafter. Thank you so much for participating. Next week, I think we have Claire coming in next week talking about foods and how to prepare them. So I think we put in the schedule this week so you see what's coming. Thank you for coming, and bring a friend next week. We really enjoyed it. I'll turn it back over to my health coordinator. Also, I'm gonna introduce my physical trainers. Folks, please take the opportunity to use them. It is very important because what they do is so critical. You will find out that your movement will make you think better, move better, and feel better. So here, our health coordinator, Ms. Cheryl Shaw.
Wasn't that educational?
Hi, this is Cheryl. We had a wonderful time tonight in week 2 of a New Me in 60 wellness event. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. We learned so much from Dr. Pelote, and also we learned a lot from our fitness coaches. We hope that you'll be coming out for next week because it was fantastic. You cannot beat being here in person and being inspired the way that I've been inspired tonight and so many other people. So hope to see you next week when Claire Benson will be presenting a food demonstration teaching us how to cook vegetarian healthy meals. See you next week.